cold dawn rises slowly across the misty northern pine forest as a fragile newborn moose calf named Magnus lies quietly upon the soft wet grass beside his mother. Dense morning fog drifts silently between towering trees while tiny newborn Magnus struggles weakly to open his eyes for the very first time. His mother gently nudges the trembling calf, encouraging him to rise within the cold wilderness surrounding them. Thin, shaky legs wobble violently beneath Magnus as he attempts to stand against the slippery, mossy earth. Again and again he loses balance and collapses softly into the damp forest floor while pine needles sway above him. His mother lovingly licks his wet fur clean while warm breaths rise into the freezing northern air. Finally Magnus pushes himself upright and stands proudly for the first time beneath the glowing forest mist. Fresh cold air fills his lungs while soft morning light pierces through the endless pine trees around him. Soon the hungry calf begins nursing eagerly beside his mother while sunlight filters beautifully through the fog. Wind whispers through the tall pine branches overhead as Magnus drinks quietly, gaining strength for survival. His giant ears twitch constantly while distant bird songs echo through the deep forest surrounding the newborn calf. Slowly Magnus takes his first clumsy steps around his mother while soft moss cushions his fragile hooves. Curious and innocent, the calf lowers his nose to sniff a fallen pine cone resting beside the roots of an ancient tree. Moments later he skips playfully through the tall wet grass while sparkling dew glows beneath the morning sunlight. Exhausted from his first adventure, little Magnus rests peacefully beside his mother, unaware that danger already stalks nearby. Within the bushes, a massive black bear moves silently through the forest, watching the vulnerable calf carefully. Magnus sleeps peacefully while the predator creeps closer and closer through the shadows. Then suddenly a dried twig snaps beneath the heavy paw of the giant bear. Magnus twitches nervously while his mother instantly locks her ears toward the terrifying sound. Without warning, the black bear explodes violently from the bushes, charging directly toward helpless little Magnus.
Thank you! You saved
Terrified, the calf scrambles backward while the enormous predator roars thunderously through the misty forest. At once his mother lunges forward and places herself between the bear and her child. The furious black bear swipes powerful claws toward the protective mother while frightened Magnus watches in horror. Then with explosive force she delivers a devastating kick directly into the predator's chest. The giant bear stumbles backward while trembling Magnus hides behind a thick pine tree nearby. Determined to reach the calf, the predator circles aggressively, attempting to bypass the raging mother moose. But she stomps the frozen earth furiously and blocks every path leading toward little Magnus. The terrified calf peeks carefully from behind the tree while his mother stands unshaken before the massive predator. Again the black bear roars violently, but the fearless mother responds with another thunderous kick, driving the beast backward through the undergrowth. Defeated and injured, the giant predator finally retreats slowly into the dark northern forest, leaving Magnus alive. Immediately the mother rushes toward her calf and carefully sniffs his trembling body to ensure he is unharmed. Magnus gently presses against her side, grateful for the powerful protection that saved his life. Soon silence returns to the ancient forest while soft fog drifts peacefully between the pine trunks once again. Together mother and son disappear deeper into the wilderness beneath the pale northern sunrise. Seasons pass through the vast forests, transforming Magnus into a larger and stronger young moose calf. Now adventurous and curious, Juvenile Magnus wades confidently into a crystal-clear lake beneath the summer sunlight. He lowers his giant head underwater, searching carefully for fresh aquatic plants hidden beneath the surface. Moments later, Magnus lifts a mouthful of dripping green vegetation while sparkling water cascades from his lips. The young moose happily chews the fresh plants while his mother grazes nearby, keeping careful watch over him. Playfully, Magnus splashes water with his huge front hooves, sending ripples across the peaceful lake. Sunlight dances across the water while the growing calf submerges his entire head beneath the surface, blowing streams of bubbles upward. He rises from the lake, shaking water dramatically from his thickening fur while ducks scatter across the sky overhead. Soon Magnus discovers thick patches of delicious pondweed growing near the muddy shoreline. Mother and son stand side by side in the shallow water, peacefully feeding together beneath the warm northern breeze. Then suddenly Magnus freezes. His giant ears slowly turn toward the distant dark tree line surrounding the lake. His mother stops chewing immediately after catching the scent of danger drifting through the wind. Magnus stares intensely toward the forest edge while tension grips the silent lake. Then shapes begin emerging from the shadows. A pack of gray wolves steps slowly from the trees, locking cold yellow eyes directly on the young Magnus. The alpha wolf unleashes a chilling howl that echoes endlessly across the lake while Magnus freezes in terror. Instinct explodes through his body and the young moose scrambles desperately out of the water toward the muddy shore. The wolves sprint rapidly along the lake edge, attempting to cut him off before he reaches safety. Mud splashes violently as terrified Magnus struggles to escape the circling predators. Soon the hungry pack surrounds him completely within the slippery mud near the shoreline. One wolf lunges forward, snapping viciously at the hind legs of the trapped young moose. Magnus kicks wildly while struggling desperately to keep his footing inside the thick mud. Then salvation crashes through the water. His mother charges directly into the wolves, using her enormous body as a living shield protecting Magnus. The predators circle aggressively, attempting to separate the terrified calf from his mother. Magnus slips heavily into the mud but quickly forces himself upright beside her once again. With explosive fury, the mother moose charges a wolf and launches it violently aside through the mud. Moments later, the alpha wolf leaps directly toward Magnus, but the enraged mother blocks the attack instantly. Breathing heavily, Magnus presses tightly against her side while wolves continue circling through the swampy shoreline. The powerful mother swings her massive head furiously, driving the predators backward step by step. Then for the first time, young Magnus stomps the mud aggressively beside her, showing the growing strength building inside him. Realizing the fierce mother cannot be defeated, the wolves slowly retreat one by one back toward the forest. The alpha wolf growls once more before vanishing into the dark tree line, leaving Magnus safe. Covered in mud but alive, the young moose stands proudly beside his mother after surviving the deadly ambush. Together they disappear quietly back into the deep northern forest beneath the fading evening light. Years pass across the wilderness, transforming Magnus into a gigantic, fully grown bull moose. Golden autumn leaves fall gently around adult Magnus while his enormous antlers gleam beneath the bright northern sun. Now massive and powerful, the giant moose scrapes his enormous antlers violently against thick tree trunks, marking his dominance across the forest. Every heavy step crushes fallen leaves beneath his gigantic hooves while cold autumn air rises from his nostrils. Then high above the rocky cliffs, another predator watches him carefully. A hungry cougar crouches silently upon a stone ledge while intense eyes remain fixed upon giant Magnus below. Unaware of the approaching danger, Magnus continues his peaceful walk beneath the rocky overhang. Then suddenly the cougar launches explosively through the air directly onto the neck of the massive bull moose. sharp claws dig deeply into his thick fur while powerful jaws attempt to bite through his flesh. Magnus unleashes a thunderous roar that shakes the autumn forest as he bucks violently trying to throw the predator free. Leaves explode everywhere while the desperate cougar clings tightly onto the giant moose during the brutal struggle. Again and again Magnus thrashes his massive antlers and spins wildly across the forest floor. The predator sinks its claws even deeper into his shoulders, refusing to release its grip. Then Magnus spots salvation. A giant oak tree stands directly ahead through the chaos. Summoning all his strength, Magnus charges full speed toward the enormous trunk and smashes his body violently against the tree. The devastating impact crushes the cougar against the bark and finally tears the predator loose from his back. The wounded cougar crashes helplessly onto the forest floor while giant Magnus turns immediately to face him. Towering above the predator with massive antlers spread wide, Magnus stares coldly into the terrified eyes of the defeated hunter. Realizing it cannot defeat such an unstoppable giant, the cougar retreats quickly into the dark brush. Victorious at last, Magnus stands proudly within the golden autumn forest while cold air rises heavily from his chest. His triumphant call echoes endlessly through the northern wilderness, announcing the arrival of the true king of the forest. Slowly the gigantic moose walks through falling golden leaves while rivers shimmer beneath the fading autumn sunlight. Smaller animals scatter respectfully whenever the mighty giant approaches through the dense woodland. Wind roars fiercely across the hills, yet Magnus stands unmoving like an ancient mountain guarding his kingdom. Scars across his massive face tell the brutal story of every battle survived since the day he first opened his eyes beneath the misty pines. No longer the fragile newborn trembling beside his mother, Magnus now reigns as one of the greatest giants of the northern forest. From a helpless calf hunted by bears and wolves to a legendary bull powerful enough to defeat a cougar, Magnus's journey is forged through resilience, instinct, courage, and relentless survival.